champions.
Hello and welcome to the Vick Akers Wonderland Awards 2024 and the 2025 season. And it's only been less than 30 seconds in and I've already blundered it all. So welcome to the awards. How are you, Lottie?
At this point, my new Arsenal tattoos are very bloody itchy. So this is going to be a fun show. I really wanted to scratch and pick, but I'm not allowed to. So, but how are you?
I am not too bad. Adam, how are you?
Fine here. Just trying to ride the last few ebbs of the adrenaline. You know, of what's been must be 3 weeks now, isn't it? Or 3 weeks since.
Yes, just coming all up now.
And I'm determined to live in the moment for as long as I can. And I'm looking forward to doing this because it means we can get to go over it all over again.
Whoop, whoop.
So, I thought you were going to say then there. So we're going to start the awards. For those that didn't know, last year Adam kicked off the awards really well. I'm just going to follow that pattern, to be honest, because don't break something that if it's not fit, if it doesn't need fixing.
Don't break something that ain't broke.
There we go. See, I'm already messing it up, and we're on nearly 2 minutes.
That's
How
right.
many times have I used that phrase over the last couple of years? That's my.
In the words of D. Ream, Matt, things are going to get better, much like our season. So, our season, we started rough and then we took off. So I predict the award ceremony will be much the same. Yeah.
That's a really good tune. I like that one.
On the disappointing, we should probably start with a disappointing moment. And I think when we talk about disappointing moments, I think we're going to go through that sort of grey area that unfortunately Jonas Eideveld, when he started the season, it was a bit rocky. And I think that's the sort of moments that we're going to be looking at. If I had to choose one moment, disappointing moment, I would actually say it was the home game against Everton. And that for me was the moment where I was just thinking, that's the game that you usually win 2 or 3-0, or maybe Everton get one back, and it just didn't happen. So, Adam, what was your disappointing moment?
I'm going to go for more of a curveball. I do have thoughts on the Everton game, but I have that's in the crosshairs of a different thing I want to give it for. For me, disappointing moment, no FA Cup final. That I felt. I mean, we've had a lot of Conti Cups and Champions League. You can't complain. We've not had an FA Cup since 2016, and I really hope that we'd get a good cup run at this season. And the last 2 seasons, we've gone out to Chelsea, we've gone out to Manchester City. This season, with the deck was a bit more stacked in our favour. We had some home ties, we had some good draws, and then we had that Liverpool game, and it was awful. And at that point, that was probably the lowest ebb under Rene. Obviously, after that, we then went on and did Madrid and Lyon, and everything went a bit better. But that point, because we had the League Cup as well, I was kind of ambivalent on us going at League Cup. But that FA Cup game against Liverpool, when it was just a dreadful pitch, and the way we went out as well. I mean, the goal is just awful. We don't know what we can talk about ifs, buts, and maybes. And would I trade the FA Cup for the Champions League? No, but I wanted a Wembley final, and hopefully we'll get that next season.
Lottie, disappointing moment for you?
Oh god, it's going to have to be that game back against Man City and that goal in the last 10 seconds. That completely wiped me out. I was just like, we were in it, and then it was just like game over. So yeah, but I'm also going to give special mention to Rosa Kafaji and her response to Real Madrid. If you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, you don't want to see it. I was just a bit disappointed with the attitude towards the overall result, if anything. But yeah.
I think we're going to have to carry on with the very disappointing, somber affair. Worst game of the season. I'll come to Lottie this time. Or do you want someone else to have a think for you?
I'm going to do Brighton. It's just Brighton.
Brighton away?
Yeah, Brighton away. It was just awful to watch from home. Awful.
For me, I mean, I got two, but one of them I can give a pass for one reason. So me and Matt were both at Leicester City away. That was the worst game I saw it was one of the worst games from in person. The only saving grace was that we won, because the game was garbage. It was utter garbage. I know a lot of you went for the Brighton games, also the Villa game, but I can sort of palm them off because of the Champions League narrative, and because we won the Champions League and we got second place, it doesn't matter. But
I still enjoy watching those games, so I can't dismiss that.
I get that. For me, it's I'm going to go back to what you were saying earlier, Matt. It's the 0-0 draw against Everton. That was the moment when it was abundantly clear, because you can say away at Leicester City, okay, Leicester City, they maybe play well, put a decent defensive system up, and we were a bit flummoxed by it. But at home at Everton, you win. Okay, that is the rule. You're at home to Everton, you win that game, and you win it comfortably. As you say, Matt, 2 or 3-0. And I will say it now. I remember it now as I remember it then. I turned to Mark, who was sitting with us, and I think it was about 60 minutes in. I turned to him and said, "We're not going to score. We're not going to score today." Just knew it. No. I know in that same sort of time with the loss to Bayern Munich and the loss to Chelsea, but for me, not saying
I forgot about Bayern Munich.
I know. The caliber of opposition, I can understand the result. Not Everton at home, and that was the clearest sort of klaxon, DEFCON 2 warning sign that the ship is sinking. We're whole below the waterline. We go for the lifebelts. Captain Jonas is not the man to steer this ship towards where we want to go. And I think it was about a week, just over a week, he was gone. But I would go Everton at home.
If I did have to pick one game, I think there is one game that does come to mind, but I think it's probably going to go down as people's worst moments. And I think I will go instead for the game against BK Häcken, just because you're away against a team that you've got a full international 11, and you're not there. I don't know if it was just tiredness and not over reliance on some of these players to get the job done, and they didn't. Just going away to Häcken and basically having to then needing to get a result at home, that shouldn't have been the forte. The forte should have been go away there. We get some sort of, even if it was just an equaliser, that would probably made me a little bit more happier. But then again, I could probably point to the Rosenborg game as well, because that one only finished 2 or 3-0.
That was the one. Yes, the Rosenborg game. That was again that one. It was terrible, but we won, so I can sort of compartmentalize it. But it was a rubbish game. Although in truth, we were dominant. We just couldn't score. The BK Häcken game I've watched back, and actually we had quite a lot of good chances. Rosa hit the bar. I think Mead there was one save. Friede hit the bar later on. We had a lot of chances. We didn't take them, and they got one on the counter. One of the games we haven't spoken about, Madrid away in the mud. Just that was awful to be at. It was a pitch we never should have played on, and the news has just come through because now it's into the season. Melanie Leupolz picked up a knee injury in that game, and she's since retired from the game. That's how bad the pitch was. That she limped off. She walked in front. She's in absolute tears, and she's since retired from football completely. That's how bad the pitch was, and the fact we came away with that with 2-0 defeat. We were on the cusp of going out of Europe from that game. Thankfully, we turned it on the second leg, and I think that is the only reason why I would sort of not dismiss it entirely, but because we go on the second leg, it kind of makes that first leg irrelevant. I would still say, Everton 0-0 is my
worst moment for you, Adam.
Worst moment. Okay, barrel's running dry here. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The worst moment I felt of the season, when I thought the season was done, was over, was done. When Lyon went 2-1 up at Emirates Stadium, with about just under 10 minutes to go. At that point, that was the moment I thought it was all over. That the tie was over, the dream was over. Because let's be fair, Lyon had been really good in the game, especially in the first half. They got the goal. We'd managed to find an equaliser for a penalty, so we're sort of in it. And then it was just one of the biggest sort of gut punch, sucker punch, just took the wind out of ourselves. And you watch the last few minutes, and it's just the game is just gone. It's like someone's pulled the speaker cord out, and it's just gone. And that moment, I felt that we were done, because Champions League was our last hope for a trophy. You know, everything else was gone. That for me is the worst. Was that worst moment? Thankfully, it wasn't. But that was my moment.
Lottie?
I'm gonna have to say going 2-0 down at Meadow Park to West Ham in 10 minutes. Although I go on like twice by Amber Tiziak, like it's just insane. She's a brilliant player, but it's just and like I always go back to the funnier parts of things, of this guy giving what's her name? I've forgotten her name. Vivian Asai.
Yes.
So like giving her a load of stick in the corner. And we're all like the two stands looking at like, what are you doing? And she just curves this ball, and the ball goes straight off Amber Tiziak's head. And she's going back and sticking it on him. And then the second one, we're all telling him to shut up and be quiet. But yeah, going 2-0 down inside 11 minutes to West Ham at Meadow Park, that's trauma in itself.
There were some games like the Brighton game, which you mentioned, Lottie, and the Villa away game as well. I mean, we haven't mentioned the Villa away game. That was just car crash. But it was one of those ones, I think, it got so bad. It almost went too bad because it was so that the scoreline was so ridiculously big. For me, it just sort of became laughable. And you knew there were circumstances around it. And in fact, it highlighted the issue squad, which hopefully will fix them some for next season. That was certainly a bad one. One thing I'd like to raise, and it's not an on-field pitch. There's a few things. Firstly, there's been rumours that Taylor Hines has been linked with Arsenal next season, and there was an incident in that Liverpool FA Cup game with Taylor Hines of a supposed, I say supposed because they're in the Arsenal end, but I don't believe them to be a proper Arsenal fan because no Arsenal fan would do this. But they were making very derogatory comments towards Hines. And obviously, it's reported the person was evicted from the stadium, and it's that kind of stuff which you don't want in a game, and it's a blight on our club and a blight on our fan base, who I believe on the whole are very well, portray themselves very well and behave very well, and to see things like that happen in a game, you don't want to see, and it's very disappointing. The other thing is, and again, it's one of the reasons why the season started quite negatively, was the whole Vivian Miedemar departure saga, which left a very bad taste in the mouth of fans, and there are fans who are still not happy about it, and fans who believe that was wrong. And there's the narrative since, but so we can only have Mariona and Miedemar. I think we'll get to Mariona later. I think we're quite glad we got Mariona, but that whole saga again, it caused a bit of a civil war in the fan base. It caused a lot of upset. I think events that have since happened have sort of alleviated that. But that was a very sort of a dark moment, sort of supporting Arsenal, and seeing that amongst the fan bases wasn't nice.
I'm going to go a bit left field here. There was it's not really I think it's just the fact that there wasn't really those chances to be for players like Lena Hurtig or at times to come onto the pitch when there was opportunities. So I would probably say there were times where the worst moment, but that's only probably just as I've mentioned. I think the worst probably moment for me will probably end up being your embarrassing moment, and that's the game against Chelsea.
Home or away?
Home.
The Jonas's last game.
Yeah, the last game. It was just I can't put it into words just how much of, I think even it's not even being there, you could just feel everyone just sort of sinking into the ground, wishing the whole stadium would sink.
Well, me and Lottie were in the pub before Nimatoli, and I think we agreed even then we knew we weren't going to win. And I never go into a Chelsea game assuming we're not going to. And normally, my opinion is sometimes I'm a bit, lacking
on our turf.
faith. Well, lacking faith, sort of very pessimistic. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, very pessimistic and very sort of, you never know. But I genuinely thought, we were at that time, I had no confidence we were going to win because it was just after Bayern and just after Everton, and us going 2 down after about 10 minutes and just defending was just woeful. And then again, as I said, when we got a second, we got 1 goal back, but I was never convinced we were going to get a second. And there was a clip of Jonas on the touchline, as a seen North London forever, and he just has a face of a man who knows that he's not going to be there in a few days' time. I mean, I think he's even said that in interviews afterwards, he knew he was going to leave the club before that game. He wanted to do that game and he was going to leave, which made people rightly said, well, hang on a minute, why did you do the game? Why didn't you just leave? Why did you do that game even though you were mentally, for you, a dead man walking effectively? You just do. But the part he did, but that game, and then obviously seeing him rush straight down the tunnel afterwards, you could definitely put that up there. Yeah, definitely. That was probably, yeah. And I thought, it was such a low ebb. Obviously, Jonas departed, but that was probably the lowest ebb of the season. Was that game right at full time? Especially with the P45 and the Jonas out graffiti on the walls.
Would you say that was probably the most embarrassing moment for?
I wouldn't say it would have been embarrassing if let's say Chelsea racked up a cricket score. The fact is they didn't. That's which sort of makes it worse, really. I felt that Chelsea went 2-0 up and just realised, we can just cruise on this, and they were absolutely right. They could cruise on it, and they did. It wouldn't say it was embarrassing as such. The Bayern Munich collapse in the second half was more embarrassing. This just at this point we had nothing left in the tank to almost be angry about, because we knew we were done. We knew we were done before we went into battle. So whatever happened, it just kind of just meant nothing in the end, and obviously. That's how it paid out.
Lottie, is there any other mentions for embarrassing moment?
I think it's just Pernell Harder's hat trick. And it was on my birthday, which made it worse, so I haven't forgotten that one. Although it was Mariona's first Arsenal goal, so I'll take that.
Silver linings.
Second.
First Champions League goal. Don't even try that one.
No, second Champions League goal. Sorry, she scored in the Hecken 4-0. So,
wow.
Sorry, Lottie.
I don't think there's been any individual moments this season where there's been an embarrassment, which is a bit of a surprise, really, considering that last year there was a few.
There's a few clown moments, weren't there?
Yeah, I think we mentioned. I think there was a couple of goals which were embarrassing. Which I think it was the Stina Blackstenius playing basketball in the Aston Villa box last season away at Villa Park. And
there were a few. I would say, if you want to embarrassing moments, there were a few moments in the Villa and Brighton away games when the team was just basically shattered. I think that McCabe had an error. Manu had an error as well with some of them. There were a few moments. And obviously you could say that the Daphne goal with Liverpool with the off the post, off the goalkeeper and in.
I wouldn't say it's embarrassing though, because she's gone to make it. It's just very unfortunate. I know you don't like odds, Lottie, but the probability of the ball bouncing back out is very minimal.
I've got one, but it's actually one Arsenal benefited from, and that's Talis Joyce's losing the fight of the ball.
Oh yes.
For Kelly's goal, which again for a keeper, Talis Joyce for me was obviously I like Daphne, but if I was to look away from Arsenal, Talis Joyce was one of the best goalkeepers in the season, maybe arguably the best. For her to do that kind of error in an Arsenal game, which obviously Kelly profited from, it was quite nice. That was a. But yeah, nothing from. There's no. I couldn't try. It wasn't really any sort of steam because you didn't score that many goals. There wasn't that many sort of Steiner comedy goals that we. You think back to last season. There were quite a few sort of. That was a bit of a odd one. We didn't really have that this season.
Only scores worldies at the moment.
Or in cup finals. This one's going to be difficult. I think. The funniest moment of the season. Does anything stand out for you, Lottie?
Not off the top of my head at the moment. I'll give this one to Adam.
A few funny moments. The 4-0 at home to Liverpool. The player name escapes me, but the defender scored 2 own goals in the same game. Obviously one own goal was bad enough, but to get 2, of course we were all.
Oh, you mean Jasmine Matthews?
Thank you, Jazz Matthews. Yes, she got 2 own goals in the same game, and of course we're all hoping that she's going to get the hat trick. Sadly, she did not. But that was a very, very funny moment. Another moment, again, it was one of those sort of games that was so incredible. I was sort of laughing, sort of screaming, no on the TV screen, and that was Manchester City away, when we were just sort of laughing through incredulity, going 2 goals up in the first 10 minutes, or then Frida scoring immediately after Miedema had scored, and just it was one of the most insane games you'd ever had to watch. So moments like that so don't be laughed. There was an own goal in the derby, which is always very funny and very welcome. But yeah, just sort of the moments like that. Did make me. I mean, also just things like the the own goal in the Lyon game to give us the lead. That was a bit of a calamitous one off Enlo. Again, brilliant goalkeeper, but when crazy stuff like that is happening, you know your luck's in.
I think for me, my funniest moment would probably be it's not really a moment; it's more of like the content, and that was when Katie McCabe and Kyle Kelly did the recreation of when she re-signed, which I thought was quite a nice callback, and it just goes to show you that you can't just brush off those sort of instances and things like that. It wasn't like Palova and Walty did anything like that when that happened, but it would have been nice to see that.
They did it twice actually, because they did it with the Champions League trophy as well, which I thought was a nice touch as well. Afterwards, very good.
Just expand it, Lottie. Is there any other things that you can think of that funny, even if it was just content?
I know it's a bad game to think about, but it was the Liverpool Meadow Park game when we went out in the FA Cup. Katie didn't get caught messing with Olivia Smith. And it was at one point she's standing there going, "Who, me? What did I do?" And we all saw her throw her to the ground, and she just looked so innocent. And the ref fell for it, and I was like, "How have you just got away with that?" And then she got booked for the same thing the following game, during the 4-0, and it was just like the standards are crap, but it's also at the same time she tried to get away with it twice and it didn't work. So it was quite funny.
So next one is the personal favourite moment. I'm just thinking for myself.
Can we just do it as a rule, not including the Champions League final? Because I think we'd all would say Champions League final as listing the Champions League.
Yes,
Champions League all the way.
I think there's a moment in there that actually means a lot, and that's Lena Hurtig actually coming on the pitch for the last couple of minutes. So I'm just going to throw that one out there. Lottie, any personal favourites? Or we'll come to Adam. No,
I'll have to think about it. Personal favourite moments. There's been lots of heated moments. Like I think that again, like the Mariona penalty, and just the emotion when that goal went in, and obviously went 3-2 up, or the Russo goals at home to Madrid. Obviously, I'm a big Russo fan for obvious reasons, and seeing that happen, and obviously wanted to be the hat trick, and it sadly never was. I would also like one of my favorite moments. Just there's so many favorite moments because of Champions League, but I thought I'd pick one that we haven't talked about yet. But after what happened last season, going to the Lane and winning. Seeing us win at the Lane, I'd yet to go in my time. Oh no, there was one. My first time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, actual Spurs Stadium, not Leighton Orient's ground or anything like Leighton Orient's ground. At the Spurs Stadium, we lost 1-0, and it was embarrassing, and it was one of the worst experiences from last season. Just absolutely, just bottom of the barrel, just before Christmas. To go there, be one goal up after about 2 minutes. And it just being one of the most easiest, like relaxing matches. It was just like sinking into a nice warm bubble bath after a hard day's work, and it's just let's just enjoy the game. Let's just enjoy the game because Spurs have got nothing. And we just watched. We turned up, we watched, and we won comfortably. That's exactly how it should always be. How it wasn't last season. It's how it would become under Rene. That with me was a good. Also, have a shout out. This gets an obscure moment. I did the away trips, to Manchester United and Liverpool, and at full. And Rene has spoken about one of the many reasons that she was committed to take the job was after the Man United game, we'd drawn 1-1. Again, it was a bit of a sickener. And that's another shout out favourite moment. Russo scoring at the LSV, which was very funny. But she talked about the way the fans responded to it at full time, and chanting her name was one of the things that convinced her. But being at that Liverpool away game in the stands at full time, we'd scraped 1-0. It wasn't the prettiest game, and we're singing Rene's name to the tune of Last Christmas. In the stands as she's coming over, because at that point she wasn't the full-time manager; she was only the part-time sort of caretaker manager, and just basically saying, "We want basically doing, we want you to stay, we want you to be our manager. And that for me was a really nice sort of humbling moment, because I don't think Jonas ever had that from the fans. I don't think the fans ever, I'm not saying they didn't like him. I don't think they ever bonded with him, and they liked it when he was, getting us wins and winning trophies. But as a person, I don't think the fans ever really bonded with him. And I think they did with Rene, and they actually wanted Rene to be the manager. They wanted Rene to be the person to steer the ship to save the season, which he did. I've never felt that love towards Jonas that I did towards Rene, and that was a really sort of special moment.
Lottie?
It's got to be the 4-1 against Vålerenga. Lena Hurtig returns to the Emirates. It's just one of those moments. Like it was only a small crowd, about 4,000.
Yeah.
But it was loud. It was loud enough to be in Meadow Park just to see her come back. I mean, she almost got the goal. She hurtled over the goalkeeper, but
yes.
Unfortunately, we had to wait for her to score at Juve.
Yes, Juve at home. Yeah.
Home? No.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, home, not away. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was at the away game. For some reason, I've got Ford's goal as down as Lena in my head. Just like, no.
But yeah, that moment, yeah, I can understand it.
Especially when we had no sort of explanation to why and how long she's been gone, sort of thing, and you're hearing that she's training on her own, sort of thing.
The Vålerenga game with at full time, all the fans sort of chanting her name as she came over, I thought was a really nice touch, and her getting that moment of heroism in that Juve game. Just that was another nice moment. Just nice to see that one player gets that one moment, as I said, and obviously she's left the club, and we wish her all the best. But she can go away knowing that she had a very, very important part to play in us winning the Champions League.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 88 minutes is a long time to wait for that 1-0 to the Arsenal. I did not enjoy that game one bit.
No. Well, I think one other moment that I should probably mention is Victoria Pelova scoring that goal at the Emirates against Leicester.
Yes. I was square on for that. Absolutely deserves a shout.
Absolutely. Too right.
But that will lead us into the game of the season. Lottie, I think there's going to be some sort of agreement here that the Champions League is got to be up there.
I'm not picking Champions League. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick Champions League.
I'm not picking Champions League.
But
it is up there. But
if we're going to, I think we're all in an agreement. Let's just stop there. The final's been such a mega event. I think that's the best word I can come up with. That it needs its own shows to sort of be digested, which we have done.
Yeah.
And yeah. But is there?
So what's your game then, Lottie, for best game?
Oh, it's going to be Lyon away. I loved every minute of it. It was absolutely sublime, and I've literally got Mariona's goal engraved on my brain.
Yeah,
I think about it on a daily basis, and I think a shout out to Juve away as well. Although the trip was an absolute nightmare in general for travel, but the game was just it was bloody brilliant. I think for me the Champions League is up there because of the result, but I know I've said this before, the stadium experience and due to the weather and how unprepared they were, it was chaos. I did not enjoy it at all.
No. I would put the Champions League final. I think it deserves its own unique pedestal. Should just apologise. Matt is just had some technical difficulties. Will hopefully be back with us soon. But talking about great games, we've been quite blessed this season because we've had quite a lot of 4-3s, and I love a goal fest.
I do too.
There's been quite a few to pick from. To the top of my head, we've obviously had the West Ham.
Okay, I've got one for you. While we're waiting for Matt to come back, what's your favourite 4-3?
Well, this is the thing. I'm trying to. We've had 3, haven't we? For the top of my head,
West Ham,
Manchester United, and Manchester City. I'm not forgetting any, am I?
Yes, that's all of them, I think, because we've had a couple of 3-2s in there as well. So
yeah. Well, my favourite game was a 4-3. So it will kind of jump, and that is Manchester City away. Manchester City away, because so often with these games,
you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That's on one of 2 games I missed this season because I was doing other stuff. I didn't watch any of it. But in my defence, I did get to meet Lee Dixon. No, not Lee Dixon. Oh, I've forgotten.
Smudge?
No.
Jan Smith?
It was someone in the Arsenal hub. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. No, the 4-3 game away at Manchester City, because I know it was just after the Stamford Bridge defeat, which wasn't great. And our midfield was out. Kim Little was injured. Velty was only fit for the bench. We were sort of a bit patched up. McCabe was suspended. So we didn't really know sort of what sort of team we could pick. So I wouldn't go so far as say we were on our knees from a player perspective, but we had a lot of players not playing in the position they would normally play in the season. Steph Catley had been at centre back, she'd been moved back to left back. Obviously, Lotta come in, and so it was all sort of geared up for Manchester City to wipe the floor of us, despite the injury issues they'd had, and we were brilliant. And we had a really good start, and then obviously in the second half, Man City came back, and then it just went completely helter-skelter. And I think this was another one of those games when you more and more saw what a player Mariona Caldente was. In the midfield, she was, scored the first goal. She was critical for the Frida goal, and obviously I think it was a switch of play for the Steiner goal at the end. Kara Cooney-Cross was doing great things in midfield. It's her set piece sets up the Lotta with a Moy goal. And I know there were sort of issues defensively, but so many times I've seen us go to Manchester City and get blown away. So many times I've seen us lose badly. And the only times when we have won is basically been a heroic defensive effort. And I think back to last season with the two late Steiner goals.
I still don't like those goals.
Yeah, it was a rubbish game, and we scraped 2 goals at the end. And of course, it's hardly a victory because obviously what it meant Chelsea won the league.
Yeah, we handed them the league, literally.
But that game was one actually we can go, rather than having to play in a special way going away from home and trying to pitch something, we can take our game to Manchester City. And I think this sort of leans now more into the Champions League. Renee in her speech after the Manchester United home game saying, we're going to go away to Lisbon, we're going to play our way, and we're going to win, and that confidence. You think, oh crikey! But then that's always been Renee. She's not been one to sort of compromise or change her plans. Someone like Jonas would have been like, no, we're going to play in this way for this game, but Renee's like, no, we're going to play our way.
It's almost as if she's fearless, and that's what I like about her. It's 100%. Going to be interesting to see what she does next season, because obviously everyone's seen how we play now and what she does. It's going to be a case, is she going to get rumbled next season like most managers do? But it's also a case of we're coming off the back of a Champions League title.
I think the key, some managers get caught out by this, and some of them try to change the way they play or adjust the way to play. For me, it's not about changing, it's about evolving. Renee has found something that works, and now she needs to not go away from that, but build upon it. And again, like I said, that Man City away game, when it got to 3-3, with the substitutions, bringing Velty on, and once we went 4-3 up, I was a bit like the Barcelona game, the final. I was like, yes, we've got this now. They're not going. It's going to stay 4-3, and it did finish 4-3, and it was a really good result. And it was, for me also, it was a big win against a big team away from home, which we, again, in previous years we have struggled at times. But to do that, I think just cemented even more Renee's quality and what she is as a manager. She's only 1 year older than Kim Little, but her talent almost masks her lack of experience just because of how young she is as a manager. Particularly, she's less than 40, and there are football players who are still playing who are older than her, but she's able to go away to Manchester City and get a win, go away to Chelsea, and to be honest, be very unlucky to lose that game. That, for me, that was a coin toss. If that had finished 0-0, no one would have complained, and that would have been a brilliant result. Got a bit unlucky at the end. But for me, that Manchester City 4-3 was like, okay, we've had the easy games, the soft starts. We've now had the tricky games in the new year, and you've won a big one. So this is not somebody who's just like had a company start and is being found out. This is somebody who has grown into the role and is more than ready to carry this on. So City away 4-3.
I'm going to go with West Ham at home. I mean, I sit there and I absolutely rip West Ham to bits every season. And for them to come to us again, score twice within 11 minutes and add that game for a bit of spice and just turn it into a goal fest, I don't expect that from West Ham. I just don't, because the lack of their investment and everything else into the team. It's obviously turned around this year, but yeah, it's got to be 4-3 West Ham purely on the basis because I was there. Man United is a close second as well. I really enjoyed that. That was a bit spicy as well.
I mean, the Manchester United game, it shouldn't have been 4-3. It shouldn't have been anywhere near that close. It should have been 5-6, 7-1. And that would have been very, in terms of funniest, we should say, going back to funniest moments, going 4-1 up at home to Manchester United was very funny. And it should have been funnier. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But on that West Ham United game, that was sort of the game where we sort of became aware of Martinez. That was the one where she sort of, not to use the Michael Richards burst onto the scene, but that was sort of the moment I was like, who is this player? And of course, throughout the rest of the season, she had a really, really good second half of the season.
The thing is, like, unless they're signing someone like Katrina Gorry, you don't notice who West Ham sign. They're not huge names, although they're huge from wherever they're coming from. Well, they're not the big stars. Let's not. Come on, she's been out all season, so. Like, obviously, that signing's going to prick up your ears because obviously she's coming over to live with Sam. They've since had their baby, etc. But she hasn't actually played for them yet. No. The biggest star on that, apart from excluding injured or out for whatever reason, is Katrina Gorry for me. When I look at that list, I mean, Mackenzie Arnold left them a long time ago now. Well, it feels like a long time, but it's not.
I think they left last season, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
but that's the only name you look at and go, yeah.
That game, though, I think it's one of those crazy ones where I know we went 3-1 down, but I had no doubt that we were still going to get something from it. I know we're 3-1 down here, but we have been good. I should say you were prime position. The Katie McCabe goal, I still don't know how she squeezed that in at the near post. I've watched it back, and
she only scores bangers. That's how.
No, but
I can't give you an explanation.
No, I know, but you watch that game and it's like one of those things, like those questions of sport. What happens next? You watch that guy. She's going to cut it back. She's got to cut it back to take the shot and to score it. And of course, what I love about 1-2 double punches is you get the second goal. The Leah Williamson headers immediately afterwards, and that was it.
I've been privileged this season. I've seen I've been square on to 2 Leah Williamson goals, and I've just been like, I want more. It's not going to happen again. To have 2 is just a luxury.
It's always magical when a Leah Williamson scores. There's something of it's something just a bit like Lottie with Moy. It just means a bit more when the pair of them score a goal, and that West Ham United game certainly delivered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My game of the season. I know I'm back. I've just had a bit of technical difficulties. Sorry.
We were just talking about our favourite 4-3s.
Our favourite 4-3s. Well, I haven't got a 4-3, but I've got a 3-0 for you, and that's the Real Madrid one.
Yes.
And the reason for it, I think we keep on talking about it because I bring it up pretty much every podcast. I think it was just the fact that it was a very flat 45. And then out of nowhere, just 14, 15 minutes in order to call us home, bam, scoring 3 goals. And there were individual player brilliances that were just tearing Real Madrid apart that night. Atina Del Castillo, a player that I very much really enjoy. Linda Casado as well. Lottie, you quite enjoyed watching her play.
I was disappointed. I didn't enjoy it. I was disappointed.
But these are players that we just sit and we really enjoy watching them play, and then to watch them live, and they just did not really offer anything. And that's the sort of Arsenal games that I really enjoy the most. I don't like it when it's 4-3. I get that it's an exciting game, but the game at West Ham, I was sitting at home going, "Oh my god, this is rubbish." It could be 5 or 6 by half time. That's the sort of thing that you think I've got in the back of my head when things like that are happening. So for me, the Real Madrid game for me, just because it was just a fantastic team performance and it set the tone for a lot of what was going to happen in that second half of the season. Goal of the season, this one's going to be a tough one, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of I can see, Lottie, your head spinning with who to choose from. So I've
got my shout outs. I think I know which one I'm gonna take, and that's Mariona against Lyon. That's just engraved on the brain. Like Stina Blackstenius for the Champions League final was up there. Caitlin Ford away at Juventus is up there. That was a wicked one. Katie McCabe against West Ham. Even Leah Williamson against Crystal Palace. It's all up there. I've seen so many great goals this season, but nothing can match that goal against Lyon for Mariona. For me, that's it. It like you look at some of the media around it, and Kate McCabe's standing behind her, and she already knows it's going in. She's standing there with her arms in the air, celebrating already, and the ball hasn't even crossed the line yet. It's moments like that, and especially when you're there, they just mean a little bit more. But I've seen so many great goals this season, but they're probably the best ones I've seen.
Well, for me, if I was on the Arsenal website and the option came up to vote for goal of the season, I'll just vote Steve Blackstenius versus Barcelona, just because of what the goal meant.
Also shout out Frida Marmnam as well.
Brighton.
Yeah.
I do have some shout outs. One of the goals that I think we all forget about, but it was in isolation, was a very good goal, was Caitlin Ford against Chelsea. That was a very good, unexpected, very good. Didn't mean anything in the end. Goals we're not talking about, Kyra Cooney-Cross versus Brighton in the League Cup. That was a rocket of a strike, and it was our first goal for Arsenal. And because of obviously the League Cup came to nothing. Mariana Caldente scored a really good goal in that game as well. So I think it was from the box. I think it was like a lob. I want to say like a lobbed header or something. It was some clearance that she returned. It was a really good finish.
I think it was a rebound.
Yeah.
Off Russo for some reason. I don't know why.
But there was also there was a Russo. I think it was against Villa. Russo from a sort of tight angle. So we've had some good goals. Fox in the derby, long range into the box. Yeah. So yeah,
Leah screaming at her, just shoot.
Mariona's consolation at Brighton. That was a really good goal. Obviously, didn't mean anything in the end. I'm not going to say that Mariona, because the Mariona goal is probably technically the best goal of the season and what it meant in terms of the game itself. And I'm not going to pick that. I'm going to steal your thunder. So I'm going to go for one that it's probably been completely forgotten about, but I'm just picking it because basically we've covered everything else. So I want to give this goal some love, and that is Leah Velti versus BK Häcken. Just because of that.
I think Matt was going to pick that.
Were you?
I wasn't actually. No, I just got thinking back, and I just think, yeah, I can see where you're going with it, Adam.
Yeah, because of when we think of the story of our Champions League and the fact that we had to start at the very, very beginning, and I think we were a bit haunted by the Paris FC debacle from the previous season. Appreciate obviously the Häcken was the next stage of that, but we wanted to get into that group stage, and we knew that our season was a bit iffy. We just had the Leicester City away game, we were terrible, and we've come in this game and we're 1-0 down. And I think there was a bit of tension in the Meadow Park that, if we mess this up, Jonas is going to be out the door. He was out the door eventually, and it was just a day of execution. But that Velti goal just sort of settled the nerves, got us on the score sheet, and it was a brilliant goal. From way out, typical Velti, and over the keeper and in. We should say that night, Beth Mead got a really good goal, a very good sort of flick up and volley. But I want to give that Velti goal some love, because that in our Champions League campaign, we've had so many moments we've veered off course, and we've had to save it in the second leg. And this was sort of the first moment. That was the moment. Was like the campaign could have gone, because we were still in Jonas mode then, and that Velti goal just steered us back on course, and it was a really good goal. So I'm going to give that goal some love.
There was two goals that I think I've already mentioned about Pelova's goal against Leicester, where she can't. That was just a huge one. But there was also the one that Pelova did against the under-21s for United, which we managed to get back through Arsenal content as well, which was quite nice to see. Show that she was getting into that sharpness again, which was great. But the one that I'm actually going to mention is the cross that Beth Mead scored against Crystal Palace.
Yes,
because it was a really brilliant play. We'll go on to the disappointing player.
Can I just quickly on that one, the Beth Mead brace, because actually she shows a really good volley as well. There's two really good goals from Beth Mead in that game, but it made it even more because I believe it was on Mothering Sunday. And there was when you saw her celebration when she got both her goals, you could see what those goals meant to her. And I thought that was a really nice moment from Beth to get those two brilliant goals.
It meant a lot as well. Disappointing player, I think there might be a few here that we could probably go for to round up. Disappointing for different reasons. So I'm going to go to Lottie first, because I think you've made a clear choice, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Rosa Kafaji. I've been ranting and raving to you guys. It's just going to be great, and it's just gone down like a lead balloon. I mean, she scored against West Ham away, which was great. And then I think she's actually been injured. Most of the time she's had her knee mostly strapped up. I know she's just had an ankle surgery as well. She's gone through her first week of rehab with Leia after she had her knee surgery. So they're still both at Arsenal. They won't be in the Euros, which is quite sad. But I'm hoping we see more. I hope she loses the attitude, because that's going to send her on a one-way ticket out of Arsenal.
Yeah.
There's no I in this team. We are a natural team. We're not relying on one star. We've got a full 11 of stars plus the bench. So I'm hoping she finds her spot. But I know a lot of people are backing for her to go this summer. So, but I don't. With her rehab, I don't think we're going to let her go this year. She might go on loan, I think.
I think a loan would be best for her. The problem is she was a Jonas signing, and she's in an unfortunate position that she was signed for a manager who very quickly left the club after she joined, and so she kind of got caught in that void.
She did, but you can say that Russo's a Jonas signing, and that's worked out perfectly
No,
fine.
but she was brought in. She was brought in for a specific role. You can see she played. I think she played more. She was given more opportunity under Jonas because she was meant to be this creativity fix. And I remember she came off the bench against Manchester City at home, and she hit the post, and Mead got the rebound in, hit the post against Häcken, and we were saying, okay, there might be something with this Rosa player that might get us off the canvas and get us in going forward again, because we were struggling so badly, and got that goal against West Ham, and then sadly did nothing after that. Renee has moved her focus with other players, and she's found a system that works. Won us the Champions League. That system didn't involve Rosa Kafaji, unfortunately, and it's just one of the collaterals of there's so much good has happened, but in order for a lot of these players to have had really good seasons, there are a portion of those who sadly have not had that time to express themselves, either for injury or because they don't align with the manager, or as you maybe mentioned, hinted obviously maybe attitude problems as well. I'm going to go back to my pre-season prediction, because I predicted that Laia Kadina was going to have a stonking season. She hasn't. let's be honest. And I think the moment that Steph Catley got moved to left centre back pretty much killed her first season. I know she's been injured, and I know she's been very good. I think she's a very good squad player, a very good option off the bench, but she's struggling with fitness. And as you said, Lottie, she's out on the injury, in the treatment room. She had surgery. She's going to be out of the Euros. But after last season, when I thought Kadina was going to be the big, she's going to kick on and become a stalwart centre back, Leah's back to full fitness. Steph Catley's moved to centre back. They've worked fine as a pairing. I'm not going to be mean and say Lotte would be Moy. That would just be cruel. Lotte so sadly had injuries.
I don't think she's had enough minutes to qualify for that, if I'm honest with you. But I think I just want to switch back to the goals and mention Leia Kadina's goal against Bayern Munich. That was a wicked goal. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting there thinking like, oh my god, she scored just after Mariona. And
she got that header, didn't she, to make it 2-2, and then obviously it fell a bit apart afterwards.
She scored first. She scored first. Mariona scored after, because Mariona's like 39. She scored about 5 minutes, I think.
I think she also scored against LCL. She might have got a header against LCL as well, I think.
Yes, she did. She did.
So again, it's just easy to forget, because obviously she'd become this fringe player, and unfortunately with Lotte having been probably our best player of the season, to then be injured for most of the season for different reasons and not had that game time. And that's why I think having those minutes in the final was very, very special. A few shout outs. Remember Katrine Mollekal? She played for us for the first half of the season a bit. And Laura Wienreuter as well, sadly, had to depart because Emily Fox is just good, sadly.
Adam, no, you was right. I do apologise. Caldente scored first, and then Kadina at 64 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. For me, I think Kafaji, when she arrived, we had a lot of hope, and I think because we're so desperate for creativity, somebody who could play a pass forward, and have a bit of a pace, a bit of trickery. But Mariona's basically done that for us. My pick is just Laia Kadina, because I thought she was going to be what Steph Catley is, and I don't know what the future holds for her next season now. I think she's under contract because obviously Amanda's gone now, but another one, Hurtig. I think we all hope that this will be the season she'll be fit and give us plenty of minutes, and it just hasn't happened again for her. Now she's departed, sadly. But
she gave us a few goals, though.
gave us a goal and celebrate. But yeah, I would go for Lycadina. Just like I thought it was going to be her season, and it wasn't.
I've been sitting here and thinking, and trying to look at this as a bit differently. Originally, I was going to say Lotta Wibben-Moy, but I think the injuries have, and that's the reason why that's been the disappointing thing. But then there's been other people that have also been injured, and it's been disappointing that they haven't been able to play as many minutes as they usually would. In the likes of Kim Little, for example, she hasn't had as many minutes as possible. But at the same time, you don't want her to be playing 90 minutes every single time. So it is difficult for me to pick a disappointing player. Maybe for me, it would be disappointing to say that Lena Hurtig, for whatever reason, has also had limited minutes as well.
I think with Lena Hurtig, it's basically, and I don't blame this on Lena Hurtig, it's circumstance, but she's been a disappointing signing. It's been 3 years, and it's basically 3 years of us not seeing Lena Hurtig. And I credit to the club for persevering and giving her the time to recover. But again, it's 3 years where we've basically been playing with a missing winger. And from a squad rotation perspective, it's limited our options. And I say again, this is no blame on Lena Hurtig. It's what happened with injuries. I'm sure she's a quality player. I'm sure she did great things at Juventus. It's just whatever quality she did have, we across the 3 seasons at Arsenal, we never saw it. But what I love is that the club, that the fans and everyone have shown their absolute support for Lena. And I say we wish her all the best in wherever she plays next.
Right. Surprise of the season. I am going to go with the signing of Chloe Kelly. Lottie?
Yes.
There isn't any other answer, is there? Let's be honest.
Okay. If that's the case,
I've got surprises. I have got surprises, but
go on then. What's your surprise? Oh, sorry, Lottie. Go on.
No, go on. You passed over to Adam.
I'm going to throw a few. Right. Firstly, seeing Jonas resign. That was a nice surprise. I think there will be rumours and circulations, but to see that happen, another nice surprise, winning the Champions League. I mean, I didn't see that coming at the start of the season, but we lifted it, so fair enough. In all seriousness, my surprise, I'm not going to take the Chloe Kelly one. It was a surprise signing. It wasn't on our radar, but it happened. It's been amazing. It's been the speed at which Daphne has taken Manu's shirt. Because Daphne, I was a big fan of Daphne when I saw her at the Euros, and I was very, very pleased to see her come to the club. But Manu was undisputed to be the number one. I think she's been a quality keeper for quite a few years at Arsenal. She's well settled in. She was the number one keeper. And the speed at which, I would say within the first 10 games, because she came to the club injured. She didn't start immediately. Manu was in goal for most of them. But I talked about the Leicester City away game. Me and Matt were both there. The save she makes at 0-0 to tip the shot onto the bar. At that moment, I was like, yeah, she's number one. I was just convinced just because of the technique and how she saved it, the presence in goal, and then obviously you then have Manu conceding 5 goals away by Munich, which kind of unfortunately cements that. But just by the time Rene came in, that was it. Daphne was number one keeper, just done. And the speed at which that has happened, the speed at which she's taken the gloves off Manu and has become number one keeper, and to the extent that we would rather play a Daphne playing with one leg away in Lyon for a crucial Champions League semi-final than a fully fit Manu Zinsberger. Kind of tells you which way the wind is blowing. Because if it was a situation, say hypothetically last season, if we were in the same situation and we had a Sabrine D'Angelo on one leg or a fully fit Manu Zinsberger would start in goal. It's pretty clear that the pendulum has completely swung towards Daphne, and I think that's fair enough. I think she's been brilliant. I think she's been absolutely brilliant, and fair play to her. I thought she'd be number one. I didn't think I would be seeing it after like the first 5 or 10 games of the season, but that was it. Yeah, she's our keeper.
Go on, Lottie. There was someone that and I interrupted you. I apologise for that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was going to say the Steph Catley, Kate McCabe left-hand partnership. For me, they slotted in so perfectly together, and where they both sort of lack in what they kind of haven't got anymore, if that makes sense, because they are getting a bit older. The other one kind of balances out. It's like I find like people are going to come for me for this, but I don't care. Steph Catley's pace is going, and I feel like Katie kind of makes that up, and Katie's brashness is always sort of covered by Steph Catley. So I think that partnership on the left hand side Although I wasn't very sure of it at the beginning, I think it's grown into something really good, and I don't want that left hand side changing next season.
Can I just throw some quick sort of funny surprises? Mariona be going into a deep pivot with Kim Little. Who could have seen that as a way thought? Also, remember when we didn't want Frida and Russo playing together in the 10 and the 9?
Yeah.
Remember
I've got one more for you.
Oh, go on.
Caitlin Ford on the right hand side.
Yes. Caitlin Ford scoring 4 goals against Glasgow Rangers.
On the right hand side.
Yeah.
I'll hold my hands up, and I will apologise now. I have got my hands up. I know my background's not really good. I sat there and I whinged and I moaned, stop putting her on the right, leave her on the left. And it's just worked this season. You give her Mariona in that sort of 10 sort of role, and it works. And it's just, I've enjoyed watching Caitlin Ford this season. And that's saying something, considering I gave her a 3. Yes, I did give her a 3 last season. I went back and checked the podcast.
There's a lot of players, I think, who we maybe gave a harsh score last season. And I think maybe not unfairly, because we weren't great, who have all... I'm not saying they've watched the podcast and been inspired, because that would just be like a narcissistic beyond belief.
That would be very big-headed.
It would be very big-headed, and I'm not sitting to talk, but what I'm sitting is there a lot of players have improved upon last season, whether that be because, you know, they had criticisms of their own, or because a new manager has come in and they have managed to get a better tune out of them than Jonas did. But certainly, I'd say Katie McCabe, I'd say Caitlin Ford, I'd say Frida Marnham has had a better season. I wouldn't say she's quite at she was 2 seasons ago, but that was I think she had a much better season. A lot of players have played at a better level than did the previous season, and I think that's showed in the table. We're one place better off, and we have a Champions League trophy to show for it. So.
Now, would it be right to say that signing's going to be fairly easy to decide? Because if I turned around and said that loan signings don't count, then that leaves basically Mariona or Daphne van Domselaar or Rosa Kafaji. Bearing in mind that Rosa Kafaji hasn't played many games. I'm guessing.
I'm trying to remember. Did we not sign? Just trying to think now. Oh, Jenna, hang on. You don't.
Jenna Knight's on there as well. That's probably one that I should actually mention as a disappointing player, because she didn't get any minutes. Finally, I've been moaning about not having a left back cover for.
Hang on a minute. She did get minutes. She started against London City Lionesses.
She only got a couple of minutes. She didn't get like any substitute appearances or anything like that. She was named on the benches and things, but she wasn't getting minutes.
She had the Palace game as well, because obviously McKay.
She's only
again.
She's only played less than 200 minutes all season, compared to some likes of the other players where they're like Katie Reid. Katie Reid's had more minutes this season. That's one thing that I'll probably say. Signing Katie Reid as an academy player and coming up into the academy. I've been saying many good things.
Another favourite moment. Just throwing it back to I can't remember who we played. Bristol City in the FA Cup in the white kit. Yeah. The moment that Lotta tied up Katie's boots. It was just so random, and it was so sweet. It was just, I'm not too sure why Lotta did it. I'm assuming Katie had cold hands, but I just thought that was a sweet moment.
In terms of signings, obviously Mariona's rocked our world, changed the world, and undoubtedly play the season. So I'm not going to choose her because other people choose her. My one is Daphne. Again, for reasons I mentioned before, it's a bit like an Emily Fox signing. You don't realise, you know you've got a really good player in that position, but you don't realise that position can be improved upon until another player comes in. When we had Emily Fox, Noah Maritz, Lara Wrighter, perfectly adequate, perfectly good right backs who are doing a really good job for us. You put Emily Fox in, and it's like going from black and white to colour. It's like I'm seeing a new dimension. Manu, great goalkeeper for us, great servant for us. Daphne comes in, boom! Oh wow, it's another level I'm seeing on multiple planes, and that's what the Daphne signing was. It just raised our ceiling, raised our floor, just put our we went up from gear 3 to gear 4 to gear 5, and I'm very excited to see how she does in the Euros. I'm very excited to see how she does next season. But I think that is our summer season. And you think also back to one best way to sum a goalkeeper is the saves they made. And what Daphne did, certainly in the first half of the season, would make critical saves when the game was in the balance. There was away at Spurs, we were only, I think, 1-0 up, or maybe up in the first half, but Beth England has a really good shot that's going for the top corner, and she pulls off the most perfect diving one-handed tip over the bar, fingertip stuff right in front of us, and you just think that's why you're our goalkeeper, because you just need that goalkeeper when the 0.1 xG goal is sent your way. You, a goalkeeper, despite having the quietest game in the world, is on hand to tip it wide. And for me, that just highlights why she's a good goalkeeper. And again, can't wait to see her play next season.
I'm surprised you didn't mention her in any of the moments in the Barcelona game. Okay.
There were so many moments in the Barcelona game, but the Barcelona game arguably was I wouldn't say it was routine, because there was no point in the Barcelona game where Daphne was making a full stretch dive tip around the post, like the one against Leicester City when she tipped the ball into the bar. There was, I think, great save against Everton when you watch the highlights back at home. The 0-0 she tipped shot onto the bar. There was the Spurs game, I said, Real Madrid at home. There was a really Juventus at home. She made critical saves at critical points in the game. With the Barcelona game, because we managed the game so well from a team perspective, most of the saves she made were pretty routine. In fairness, if you watch it back, there's no moment when you've like, oh, crikey, Daphne's really pulled one. The closest is the Bon Mati save at 0-0. That's probably it. And that's not outrageous.
That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Is there
I knew we'd
any
get there eventually.
Is there any point of saying player of the season? Because
it's Mariona Caldente.
Yeah, it's Mariona Caldente, but I'm going to go Caitlin Ford. She's been absolutely brilliant this season. She's brought her game up to another level. I know she's getting her angry streak, from Katie, but it doesn't come out when she's at Arsenal. It comes out when she plays for the Matildas, and I've been watching them a bit more, and I've noticed it. She's always been this fiery character, but we've just never seen it at the club, and she's got about the same amount of cards as Katie this season, and it's just like, okay, if this is the Caitlin Ford we're gonna have, let's do it. I think she's been absolutely brilliant on the right with Mariona unlocking her, so she can just go and score the goals. I mean, she's been scoring all season long, and I've enjoyed it. I've seen a fair few bangers. I think for me, my favourite one by her was probably the one at Juventus away. That was a wicked goal from her. Yeah, I'm going to go Caitlin Ford, although it's unanimous. It's Mariona Caldente, and
no, I'm going for alternative. Mariona is obviously signed with season player of the season, but I'm going for someone different who I don't think we've spoken enough about and haven't given the flowers for, because I think she's improved so much more this season. And I'm playing my joker. I'm going for the home bias. I'm going for the WSL Golden Boot winner, Alessia Russo. I think as a
shocker.
Shocker, but with genuine reason to do so, because I said last season.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
No, you are welcome to poke the bear on this one. I said last season I don't think she gave us.
And you chomped. Nom nom nom.
Absolutely, nom nom. I think last season she did okay, scored an okay amount of goals, but I don't think she was playing anywhere near what we were expecting of her. And I think, and that's why when I said, oh, based on this season it's a bust, and you all gave me a very sort of quizzical look, and I said, but if that's based on the season. I said this season coming up, the next season, this season gone, is the one where we'll see. And she was rubbish for about the first 8 games. I think she only got 1 goal. I think it was against Rangers. Nothing in all the other competitions after that. For the rest of Jonas's time, there was that miss she had at home to Man City where she just basically back passed it to the keeper, and you could just see her confidence on the floor. Renee's come in, and she's a player revitalised. And I go back to the LSV game when she scored away at Manchester United, which was very funny. And obviously the Vålerenga home game. And I said the Vålerenga home game, I think it was just before then, the Vålerenga home game when she got a goal right at the end. It was injury time, made it 4-1. And I said that's the most important goal she's going to score this season, because that was the goal. The lighting of the fuse, the ignition of Russo fully, firing and scoring, and she's become the striker that we wanted. She's replacing Vivian Miedema, but Vivian Miedema, what she gave to Arsenal, that's a huge mantle of responsibility as a striker. No striker is going to be Vivian Miedema. She is a very unique player who and did great things for us at Arsenal, which we'll always be grateful for. But as a striker, there is a mantle of responsibility now. It's on you now to be that next 10 goal, 20 goal, 25 goal a season striker. Now, Russo's had a bit of luck because Bunny Shaw was out injured for most of the season. The need to, the scoring total of the Golden Boot is a bit lower. But what she's offered on the pitch with her retention, ball retention on the halfway line, her strength, the way she can spin around defenders and get in the channels, but crucially, staying in the penalty area and scoring the goals and not getting dragged back upfield to being built up. Stay in the 6-yard box. The ball comes to you and you will score. And she's done that more and more and more and more. And she scored crucial goals. And the classic one is the Real Madrid at home game, getting 2 goals in that game to spin the tie on its head. And obviously the Lyon away, getting the goal right after the second half started to pretty much clinch the game. So I'm going to give some flowers for me for Alessia Russo becoming the striker we were hoping for last season. And I hope that it is a sign of further progression going into next season.
I'm just looking at now at the things for the content of the season, but at the moment it is for me player of the season. I think Adam's already made the case for Daphne van Damselaar, so that'll be the only other one. But content of the season, I am going to give this one to. I haven't actually watched this, which is a bit of a shock, but I always like the fact that the club are putting out documentaries, and it was nice to see that Victoria Pelova got the opportunity to have her own documentary that Beth and Viv had last season and so forth. So it's nice to see that sort of content out there. Adam, what sort of content?
I was thinking back to the celebrations after the final, and there were a lot of clips and moments, and there's been some pictures of me on the Arsenal website, which I'm sure brought a tear to a few people's eyes. But my content is not from the final; it's from the Lyon away game, and it's the huddle that they have at full time, and Leah talks about Kim Little, a player, and it's a speech they've recorded. I'm hoping it's going to be maybe part of a bigger document. I'm hoping that there's going to be a Champions League campaign documentary, in which case that will be my content of the season. Hoping they make it, because they usually do one big documentary every season. But that speech, because Kim Little is a player, unbelievably talented player, known within the game as one of the greatest players to ever play the game, maybe not so much appreciated outside, in your day-to-day, because she's never got the opportunity to play on the international scene, because Scotland rarely progress well into tournaments or qualify for tournaments. But there's a moment when she goes up to get the medal at the podium, and Bon Mati, the great Bon Mati, reaches over and shakes her hand, because she recognises game. She knows the kind of player Kim Little was. And this is a player who was player of the match in the Lyon away game, and obviously had the brilliant game in the final. But the speech that Leah has when she has in a circle, and she basically says, Kim Little should have won the Champions League 5 times. Kim Little could have easily walked into a Real Madrid, or a Barcelona, or a Lyon, or a Wolfsburg, and picked up a Champions League medal then, and everyone would have said, that's absolutely right, that's absolutely fair. But no, she stayed with Arsenal, and Leah said, this player here should have won 5 Champions Leagues by now. And she's coming to the later ends of her career. It's an injustice that she hasn't. And there was almost an element of, it's the old Simpsons thing. If you remember that end of the Simpsons episode when Homer, he has that sign and he's stuck pictures of Maggie Simpson over it, so it just says, do it for her. This was kind of like that with this final. It was like, do it for Kim Little. She deserves this moment. She's been at Arsenal. She came to Arsenal in 2008, just after the last European campaign, and she came back. She's our captain. She's our leader. She's a legend. This is the one trophy in our cabinet at Arsenal, FA Cup, WSL, Premier League, WSL Cup, League Cup, whatever you call it, Premier League Cup. But this is the one trophy she's never got her hands on. And that speech from Leah, I thought was really sort of heartwarming, and I'm glad they did do it for her.
Lottie?
I can't top that.
There's got to be something that
I think it's just ongoing content based around Katie McCabe and Chloe Kelly for me. I mean, you've got the trophy poses, and you've got the ball, and you've got the content when she first signed of Katie creeping up on her with the ball. And it's one of those it will always be iconic to the fans, because obviously we all know that she smashed a ball in her face just for shits and gigs because it's Kate McCabe. But it's the friendship that's actually brewed from it that I really enjoy seeing content, the pair of them together. Go on, Adam. I know you're bursting.
I've just realised that, winding up again, funniest moment of the season. I can't believe we've all forgotten it. Katie McCabe, drunk and hungover, on the balcony at the Armoury, taking control of the microphone and just having the time of her life with everything, with the chanting.
To be honest with you, I missed all that because I was flying home, so I get a free pass on that.
But you were just saying the Katie McCabe at the trophy. That is it. Funniest moment of the season. Katie McCabe trophy celebration, top of the Armoury.
I think
doing the Tottenham chants, doing the player chants.
The highlight of that for me watching it back, it would have been Oh, what's the Dutch song that they were dancing to?
Oh, the Lynx Rex. The Lynx
Yeah,
Rex.
the Lynx Rex. She's sitting there rocking the trophy, trying to get people to move, and they're all standing going,
Yeah.
And
I was trying to
it's
dance
just
along to
quite
that.
hilarious.
I was trying to dance along to that. Unfortunately, nobody else wanted to. I don't think anyone knows the dance, but yes,
I
obviously they do.
half the people there, they weren't the
No,
regular
clued in.
fans, because like you saw the few familiar faces, but a lot of them you didn't recognise. But I thought people get the gist once they saw like the girls moving, and I was a bit disappointed with that.
But yeah, that's my funniest moment. Yeah, drunk and hungover, sunglassed up, Katie McCabe, just having the time of our life on the back.
You know what? It was also funny because the Liverpool fans were going after it. Oh, you stole an Arsenal song. Blah, 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 blah. I was just get over it. It's nothing to do with you.
You stole it from the Dutch national team. Get over
apart
yourselves.
from anything, Farlinks was actually on the agenda for Victoria Plova and Vivian Miedema when they were in.
The whole thing about
Renee Sleggers. Excuse me.
Yeah, but generally there was a chant going that was going to be to the link of Victoria Plova and
I should just say
that it didn't work out.
The roots of that, because I've done a write-up on it, it's a bit of research. It actually comes from Euro 2017. Its roots are actually in women's football because they played it when the Dutch hosted the Euros, and it was part of the fan build up to it. They use that song a lot, and it's evolved. And again, one of the great things come out of the women's game, but now it's in women's and men's games. It's become this great celebratory song, and I was so chuffed that they played it at the trophy celebration, and I hope we get to hear it more at Arsenal next season.
So that is it for us on the season awards. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky at VAW Pods. You can follow Adam. Where can lovely people find you? And the archive.
So you can follow me at Adam_Salter4 or Salter4 on Blue Sky on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow the archive at the AW Archive on Twitter and Blue Sky. Mini quiet period at the moment because this is the point in the archive where there is a 2-week gap in all fixtures ever played by Arsenal that I have footage for. But don't worry, normal service shall be resumed soon.
And Lottie, where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Lottie_AWFC.
So that is it as the season closed and oh my god, closing the show and I can't even do it properly. But go on as you please.
It's the last pod of the year season.
The impossible mission was completed. Arsenal were European champions, and for the last time this season, we can say, "Come on, you Gunners."